Casey Scanlon here, going to give you a quick fishing report for the Lake of the Ozarks. It's May 5th. The water level is 657, so it's been coming up a little bit. And we had 2.5 inches of rain last night, so the water's creeping up. And I called the lake report rather, and it's supposed to be 659 and some change before tonight. So they're running heavy generation through the dam. They've been running heavy generation all week. We've had, kind of rainy, dreary conditions all week. I was on the road at a couple of tournaments, had Lake Pickwick over there in Tennessee, Alabama, and then ran over there and fished the Toyota Series at Grand Lake in Oklahoma. Had a good finish over there. And now I've been back at the lake, been fishing all week. And we had the Major League Fishing event here this week. So those guys were out on the water. So I did a little bit of bass fishing, did a lot of crappie fishing this week. And, the fishing was good. So the crappies are up on the bank. There's a lot of the bigger ones. The bigger females are backed out a little bit deeper, but the crappies are trying to spawn. There's a lot of males up there. It's as easy as casting a jig out to the bank. Brush piles were really good, shallow brush around docks, secondary points. But those bigger females were backed off in that, 8 to 12 foot. And those fish were just kind of roaming around on the backs of, or in the backs of creeks, around flats, around brush piles, and just chasing them around on the Garmin live scope. So that was a fun week doing that. A lot of fish up on the bank, but a lot of those bigger ones backed out underneath boat docks, brush piles, and just roaming on these flats. So crappie should continue to spawn. And the bass have been spawning as well. If you watch that Major League Fishing event, a lot of the guys were sight fishing. Water has been really, really clear all spring, in my opinion. And, we had rainy conditions with this week, which wasn't conducive to sight fishing. But with the water being so clear, they were pretty easy to see. So there's lots of beds up there, lots of small fish up on the banks as far as the bass go. And you can see a lot of beds, a lot of white spots everywhere. But a lot of those bigger fish, just like the crappie, are backed out a little bit with this current that we got going on all this past week. We're going to continue to have a lot of generation through that dam. That creates some current in the lake and gets these fish situated around brush piles, secondary points, primary points. Those fish use those places to feed. So as we move further into the spawn, there's going to be some pre-spawners using a lot of these places. And there's going to be a lot of fish moving out off the bank that have finished their spawning, and they're going to start moving out a little deeper, sliding under those deeper docks, getting out on points, trying to make their way out to the main channel. So a lot of things going on at the lake. I mentioned that the water level is coming up. Those fish should follow that water level up. So, it's going to put a lot of trees in the water, going to put a lot of dock pylons and other cover in the water that big rocks, that are previously showing on the bank are now going to be, up under the water and have some fishable water around them. So look for those fish to utilize that shallow cover for the next month or two. Those fish are going to continue to spawn. We're going to have we had our first wave or big wave of fish come up in the past week or so to spawn, and those fish will continue to spawn with that lake coming up. There should be another wave or two of fish moving up here real soon. And when we get these warm days, there's going to be a lot of fish hitting the banks. So utilize those shallow boat docks, shallow brush piles. Get behind the docks, flip behind the cables with soft plastics and jigs, and you're going to be around some fish. So a lot of fish back in the coves using all that shallow cover. Top water is going to start working. A lot of these fish are going to finish spawning, and they're going to start guarding fries. The males are going to stick around these boat docks, laydowns, brush piles. They're going to guard the fry that's hatched from the spawn. So there's going to be a lot of fish shallow for the next month or so, and you can catch them on a variety of baits. As these fish finish up spawning a little more, top water is going to work really well. Buzz bait and the spook have been working this week for us. But mostly soft plastics and jigs have been the way to go. So we've been throwing the Trophy Bass Company 3/8 ounce and 1/2 ounce jig. A lot of these fish are up shallow, and a lot of the fish are kind of backed up in that 6 to 10, 12 foot zone as well. whether they're post-spawn or pre-spawners, get a little bit of mix of both. But basically that 1/2 ounce jig, this is the Trophy Bass Company Pro jig, just 1/2 ounce. This one's brown and purple, but anything brown, black and blue, those are gonna work really good for you. A variety of trailers, just get a craw trailer on the back of there and go to work. Fish it around boat docks, drag it around brush piles, drag it out off of the points. That one jig can do a lot for you. Carolina rig would work really well right now with, maybe a finesse worm, a lizard, or, maybe the baby brush buster from Tackle HD on the back, some kind of creature bait. Just drag that around. These pea gravel pockets, these points leading into these spawning coves, all those are great targets for the jig and the Carolina rig. But that jig is just a really versatile bait. I can keep it in my hand all the time and it catches fish. So that's been a big fish catcher for us this week. And the fish have been coming around. Shallow, like I said, a lot of shallow cover, a lot of fish off points. You can get on the main lake now. There's fish moved up all over the lake. If you watch the Major League Fishing event, a lot of those guys fish the lower end of the lake. A few fished up the river in the hurricane deck area, but as you move, clear water down on the lower end, a lot of fish, we're on beds. With the water coming up, it's going to be a lot harder to see those beds. They're going to be a lot deeper, but there should be some fish making new beds. But the entire system is really good right now. A lot of color in the water up the river, so you can go up there and throw a lot of moving baits, whether it be the Tackle HD square bill, the worldwide buzzer, Trophy Bass Company spinnerbait. With all this runoff and things like that, look for the spinnerbait, chatterbait, moving baits to be really good the next few days. There's going to be a lot of color in the water, a lot of shad up there as these fish get done spawning. There's going to be a lot of shad and bluegill available to them, and they're hungry after the spawn. So keep those moving baits in your hand, especially in that colored water, and you're going to catch some really big fish. There was a lot of fish caught on a chatterbait this week in that Major League Fishing event, and they were caught lake wide. So, it doesn't matter where you're at on the lake. The fish are going to be shallow. They're going to be in the coves, and there's going to be a steady stream of fish moving up from the main river. And look for a lot of fish on points, fish on bluffs, bluff ends. A variety of structure is going to be working. There's going to be, it's a really fun time of year. There's fish coming and going, shallow and deep. So really fun time. Shaky head has been really good. Guys have been catching a lot of fish on the shaky head. And, 3/16, 1/8 ounce, 1/4 ounce, just drag that around boat docks, shallow cover points, and you're going to catch some fish. Keep that. It's the same way with the jig. If you keep that in your hand, you're bound to catch some fish. Up shallow around the beds, skipping behind the cables. This wacky rig has been really, really good. And I'm just throwing a 6-inch or 5-inch green pumpkin worm, Hayabusa hook, and this is the Tackle HD. Forget what they call it, but it's just a nice little stick worm here, and been throwing that in green pumpkin. Throw it on the shaky head, been throwing it on the wacky rig. 6-gill rods and reels. I got this, the wacky rig on a spinning rod with 10-pound braid, 10-pound Bass Pro Shops leader, Hayabusa hook, and that's a great way to go out and catch some numbers of fish. The Ned rig would be a good way to catch a lot of numbers of fish, because there's a lot of little ones swimming around up shallow. Ton of keepers, ton of nice fish being caught, but in general, the fish are biting, and when you go up there, you're gonna get a lot of bites from those 13 to 15-inch fish. With the color coming into the lake, a lot of color in the water with all this rain we had. And like I said, 2.5 inches last night. It's bound to muddy up some areas. That Trophy Bass Company flipping jig, 3/8 ounce, 1/2 ounce. If you get around some really heavy cover that you actually have to kind of punch through, sawdust, things like that in these pockets, you can step it up a little bit and do the 1/2 ounce, or 5/8 or 3/4. Try to get through some of that stuff. I got a whole rod locker full of stuff that's going to work. Swim baits, like I said, that spinner bait. Look for a lot of runoff in the back of these pockets and drains, things like that. It's going to put some shad back there. It's going to have some feeding fish. Throw that spinnerbait in the backs of those. Throw the spinnerbait up in the creeks and river arms where you got some muddy water. Going to catch a lot of fish like that. After this spawn, we're going to start seeing a shad spawn here in a couple weeks once that water temp creeps up a little bit. Right now we're in the upper 50s, low 60s here at the lake. So still a lot of fish yet to spawn. We're right in the middle of it. So it's going to be a really, really fun couple of weeks. You can catch them on Tackle HD, jerkbait still, top water, variety of tactics, you name it, it's working. So concentrate on that. 12 foot and less for the most part. There are some fish out deep. Caught some fish actually that have finished up spawning this week, and a lot that have yet to move into the bank. So, everything from a deep crankbait or a deeper crankbait, you can still throw that Tackle HD crankhead around for those pre-spawners on a windy day. So much stuff is working right now. It's a great time of year to go out there, experiment with new techniques and try some new stuff. But for the most part, you stick with those soft plastics and jigs, and you're going to catch a lot of fish right now. Top water is really, really fun. We've had a lot of rain and stuff like that. As the water warms up just a little bit, those fish are going to get a lot more active. That top water is going to be really, really fun. So look for fish to be in all phases of the spawn the next couple weeks, crappie included. And they're going to be coming to the bank in big numbers. There's already a lot of them up there, and they're going to be coming and going. So fun time of year, catch them shallow and deep. But we're just getting things started here in the Ozarks. It's the beginning of the spawn, and things are starting to get really, really fun. So if you get a chance to get out there, just stick with the soft plastics, top waters. Try some new baits. Things like swim baits, things like that, if you're not familiar with them, because now's the time of year you can get a lot of bites on a lot of different lures and kind of gain some confidence in that. So when they're biting, I like to experiment with techniques a little bit. That way you can get some feedback on some of those new lures, gain a little bit of confidence in them. So really, really fun time of year to fish. So I'm getting ready to go to Lake Guntersville here, going to pack up the nitro boat here, head out this weekend, got all my 6-gill rods strapped up and ready to go, tucked away in that rod locker there. So should be a really fun week at Guntersville. Got the Major League Fishing Pro Circuit event there this week. So looking forward to that one, and going to be gone for a week, but then I'll be back. Got a lot of guide trips on the books, but I do have a lot of openings this summer. Summer's a great time to fish here. We catch a lot of numbers of fish. So if you're interested in a guide trip, I'll drop a link down below, and I'll also drop a link to all the products I mentioned and all my sponsor products as well. We've got a great list of sponsors that help keep me going, and they provide a lot of awesome products to me that I use every day to help me catch some fish. So I'll drop a link to those as well. And until the next report, we'll see you guys out there, and hopefully you guys catch a bunch of big fish out there. Enjoy the lake, because it's really, really good right now. So talk to you guys later, and good luck.